everyone. Thank you for coming today and being here on time. Welcome to the Tuesday Tenant Legal Clinic. But yeah, we'll start on our presentation now. If we can hold off questions until the end, we will have time for that. But we'll begin the presentation now. So Karen, do you want to start it off?
Yes, thank you, Jenny. So we're going to start with a few of the key tenant rights. We're going to talk about the key concepts of what you should know every day in your lives when it comes to being a tenant in California. And so I'll start with the first one, which is a property owner cannot lock a tenant out. Only a sheriff can lock a tenant out with an order to do so, meaning that we get a lot of questions saying the landlord is verbally kicking me out and says I have 20 days to leave, or else they're going to call the police to kick me out. That's actually not legal. The sheriff can only kick you out if they have a court order from a judge, and it has to be a legal court order. So that's just a basic knowledge whenever you hear verbal evictions going your way or to someone you know. This cannot be done unless they have an order from the court to do so. Another thing is a property owner cannot enter without a 24-hour written notice unless it's an emergency, like the apartment or house is on fire, there's gas leaks, things like that. Other than that, even if they're going to fix a stove or something that needs fixing in your home, they have to give you a proper 24-hour written notice. And it has to be pasted on your door. Text messages, all that stuff, verbal 24-hour notices are also not legal. It is their duty to give you a written 24-hour notice so you can be ready to expect them. And if we go back to the written notices, it's very important to have written notices whenever you're getting anything, whether it's a warning, an eviction letter, or a permit to enter. All these have to be in writing. Verbal notices don't count. So make sure that if they ever send texts or emails or phone calls, you need to let them know, because that is your right to let them know, to have it in writing and give you a copy of that. Also, it is the responsibility of a property owner to make repairs and make your home feel habitable and safe from pets and rodents. So kind of what that entails, kind of like when you sign a contract, you're agreeing to all the rules in the contract. They also sign these contracts, so they also have to do their part when it comes to the responsibilities in the contract. And the contract states that they're the ones responsible for fixing things that are wrong with your home, like stoves or refrigerators or bad pipes, drainage, all that stuff. It is their responsibility to fix that, and you have a right to ask them to fix it. And we definitely recommend, just like they should do notices in writing, you should also aim to do your notices in writing, because verbal never really, from what we've seen in some cases, verbal notices never really happen or have a consequence or a benefit. Always get it in writing, and we can assist with those as well. And then there's a list of things that make a habitable home, correct? And some of those things are from the list that you can see here: leaky ceilings, falling plaster, lack of heating, missing or broken windows, lack of hot water, missing or broken smoke detectors, rats and other insects, improper garbage collection, unsafe stairs or railings, inadequate security and locks, faulty electrical wiring, visible mold, and plumbing problems that they are entitled to fix. There's also a list of things that they don't have to fix, like normal wear and tear things. And always just make sure to take pictures of your apartment complex when you first move in and when you move out, to always make sure you have that evidence of how you left it or how you're entering. And if something is broken, you have that proof to let them know what is going on with your apartment.
Oh, and I also just want to add, especially when you're moving into your new home, you can ask for a walk-in inspection prior. Usually in a contract, there already is a section for that where the landlord will tell you, so everything's in great condition, right? And you say, yeah, but you actually have to initial that on your contract at one point. And so we definitely recommend doing a walk-in inspection, even also a walkout inspection if you decide to move out, to do these things, because once you initial that something is okay, that you basically have signed that, like, yeah, everything's okay. And if you try to fix it or you ask the landlord to fix it, they'll be like, you signed it, everything's fine, right? So like Karen said, make sure to take photos, date the photos. If you have emails or texts, save those. Everything always in written notice. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go over our state California law, which is called the Tenant Protection Act of 2019, or also known as AB 1482. there's three main parts, but we're going to talk mainly about just cause for eviction and the rent cap. And so all homes are protected under AB 1482, except new housing built within the past 15 years, government subsidized housing. So that means if you have to send in your taxes every year to prove that you're making a certain amount of money, single family homes or condos that have no corporate ownership, duplexes, mobile homes, and RVs, tenants who share bathrooms and kitchen facilities with the owner, and if the owner lives in the home, care for the elderly, and or adult residential facilities. So again, it's easier to tell you the list that is not covered than who is covered.
Knowing this information is very important because then if your home is covered by AB 1482, then you are protected by the following policies.
And so, yeah, just cause. Basically, just cause for eviction means that the landlord is required to have a valid reason to evict you. And so the state law splits it into no fault and at fault. So no fault means if you get a just cause eviction that is not your fault, that usually means the landlord has to state this as a reason on your notice, which basically could be one of the following reasons, which is the owner or family member wants to move into the property, or the owner wants to sell the property, or they're complying with a government court order or have a local ordinance that requires vacancy, or they intend to demolish or remodel a unit with permit. So that means this was not your fault. It won't cause a record on your, if you're trying to look for new housing, right? Because again, it says no fault. But when it comes to being at fault, that means your landlord is giving you a warning for eviction that could be because you're not paying your rent on time. There's a breach of the lease. For example, no pet policy, but you have a pet. Or maybe you're renting a room out to people, aka subletting. That's illegal under this law. And then, yeah, if you're denying access by a landlord after proper notice. So again, like Karen mentioned, all landlords are required to give a 24-hour written notice if they want to enter your building, unless it's an emergency. Like Karen said, if your building's on fire or your unit is on fire, they don't have to ask for permission to come in. But otherwise, for non-emergency things, they do have to give a 24. If you are getting that notice and you're not letting them in, they can send you a written notice letting you know that they're trying to evict you under just cause. But again, if you get a just cause at fault reason for eviction, you do have the opportunity to fix that issue, right? And so these notices serve as a warning. You always need to get a notice with the reason. If you get an eviction notice that doesn't state a reason, it is an illegal notice. You could also take it as your just cause warning. Yeah, who qualifies for just cause? So under AB 1482, tenants who have lived there longer than 12 months, but if other tenants have moved in within the first 12 months of tenancy, just cause will not apply until at least one person has lived there for 24 months. As you can see, AB 1482, it's a little tricky, right? And this is why here in Concord and other cities in Contra Costa County, we are organizing to get a stronger just cause policy. So there is less loopholes, and so that everyone can be protected under just cause. Because before AB 1482, there was no just cause reasons to evict someone. A landlord could just evict you because they wanted to. We don't think that's okay, and this is why we will continue to organize local just cause policies in our cities. But then, second part of AB 1482 is the rent cap. So you might hear this as called rent control, but it's not. It's a rent cap. So basically, your landlord is allowed to increase your rent twice within a 12-month period. I cannot go over 10% or the 5% plus the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index. So at the moment, we do believe the Contra Costa CPI is 4.01. So that means the rent cap could be 9% or it could be 10%. It cannot go higher than those two. When a unit is vacated, though, a landlord can raise the rent without limit due to Costa Hawkins.
Thank you, Jenny. So one of the things is that we sometimes, when we have problems with our housing, we think we're alone. We feel like it's only happening to us. We are the only ones that have leaks in our ceilings, or we don't have a heat during the winter. We're being taken to court for no reason. But once we start talking to other people in your building, then you start seeing that other people are having the same issues as you, right? I want you to look at the next picture right here. This picture is you see a big fish, right? The big fish is eating the little fishes. The little fishes are just around in different directions. They're scared. They feel alone. This is actually like the landlord is putting pressure on you to move out of your apartment. The place is already in poor conditions. They haven't made the repairs that you're supposed to have in several months. But even when the place is not nice, you cannot afford to move out, right? And you really don't want to leave because this is your community. This is a place that you had called home for a long time. Again, the big fish eating the little fishes, just the tenants, running scared, alone, afraid. And the second one, you can see all the little fishes in one direction eating the big fish, right? That's actually us. You and your neighbors have all come together and they're seriously demanding for, better conditions in your buildings, repairs are being made in your apartment. The management will respond more quickly when all of you guys are together, right? But then again, all of us, we ask questions like, what is the tenant union? So the tenant union is a group of neighbors. It could be you and your neighbors coming together and you guys share the same interest, like fighting for repairs, illegal rent increases. This is when residents in a building, they come together and they share the same concerns and their voices are amplified, right? They have more power, get everything that, you guys are asking for done. And then one of the good things that the tenants union offer is protection from retaliation from landlords, ability to communicate as a group versus individually, right? Sometimes when it's only one person, landlord starts picking up on a person, like harassing them. It's only you, gaslighting you, actually telling you nobody else is complaining, only you. So this tenant union gives you the ability to not just one person, but it's the whole building, right? Everybody's not happy with their conditions. The power is in numbers. Together, we can win. City of Concord, there's actually buildings that had organized. One of them is the Sun Terrace, then Clayton Crossings Unidos, Vecinos de Glenbrook, and 1463 Marclair Tenants Union. Those 4 buildings are the ones fighting back. The same thing, everything that we had talked about, habitability issues, leaky plumbing, lack of hot water, moldy carpets, harassment. That's something that we had seen a lot. The landlords doing that to the tenants in order to get them, to leave their place, right? So that's something that all these buildings are fighting for. And also in September of 2019, Todos Santos Tenants Union was formed. It's a citywide tenants union, and we're also fighting for educating tenants about their rights, raising awareness that we are not alone, and we have the right to have a decent housing. And we will not stop until we get, solutions from this government officials, especially in the city of Concord. It's been a long fight, but we're still here fighting back, right?
Speaking of the importance of coming together, aka strength in numbers, tenants and housing justice advocates have had policy wins in Concord and Antioch. If tenants had not spoken up, we would not have these protections today. In Concord, a residential tenant anti-harassment protection was passed, meaning landlord harassment is when the landlord creates conditions that are designed to encourage the tenant to break the lease agreement or vacate the rental property. If you're a tenant dealing with harassment from your landlord, please give our tenant clinic a call for some assistance. While Concord tenants continue to organize for more tenant protections, tenants in Antioch have begun to form tenant unions and were able to pass a rent stabilization ordinance, including having low-income tax credit housing be covered. The ordinance states that rent increases cannot exceed 3%, but a reminder that due to AB 1482, certain housing is excluded.
That is it. Yeah. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, this will be the time. Again, thank you for coming to the Tuesday Tenant Legal Clinic. We will also send you this presentation just for you to have. And please share with your friends and family. It's very important that we all know what our rights are.
And yeah, talk to your neighbors.